Scrapbooks can be absolute doorways to the past, a time machine for historians.
We're actually very fortunate to have this scrapbook at the Kentucky Historical Society because when most people think about treasures, they think about something of value that was once lost and found or belonged to someone very famous. And the Camilla Herdman Scrapbooks are neither of those things. Camilla was born to a very well-to-do family in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and she was 14 years old when she started these scrapbooks. Now, she used to have a diary, but the opening page of her scrapbook said that her life wasn't exciting enough to continue with the diary, and that she decided she wanted to have a scrapbook instead to show what happened not only in her life, but in the lives around her. And the things that she put in her scrapbook were actually everyday things. She would put a gum wrapper from a stick of gum that she shared with her friends at the movies. There was a Hershey bar wrapper in her scrapbook. Hershey bars are still used today, but what did that wrapper look like? Did it look the same? Of course it didn't. It has changed over time, and it's that change that we can learn from and we can reflect on when we look back in the 1920s. She also shared more intimate things, such as a love letter from a boy that she was interested in, a piece of cloth that I think is a little piece of tights, cotton tights, that she said was part of a dark secret that she shared with girls at camp. She didn't keep any photographs of herself in this scrapbook, which is very unusual. Today's teenagers plaster their photographs everywhere, but that wasn't as important to Camilla. However, towards the end of her volumes, there is a picture of her from the newspaper riding on horseback, so we know what Camilla looked like at the end of her journals. We have no idea what she looked like when she started her journals. She did keep a composite of her 8th grade class, and if you look at that composite, you might be able to pick out which girl was it, and we can't say for sure, but that's kind of the beauty of it, because it really could have been any of those girls who shared their stories with us 100 years ago. You absolutely can't get this kind of detail from a book from the 1920s because the author is going to put things in there that he wants you to know. Camilla's scrapbook, she probably never thought that anyone outside of her four walls would ever see that scrapbook, and yet here we are 100 years later and we have it. You can't get that type of detail because most people will reserve that information. But in a scrapbook, that almost acted more like a diary, and even though she didn't want to write a diary, it really did. They're very, very personal, and that's the type of detail you can't get anywhere else.
To learn more, visit us online at history.ky.gov. From the Kentucky History Center and Museums in downtown Frankfort, I'm Doug High.